हर नमः पार्वती पतये। हर हर महादेवा। आदि पराशक्ति माता की जय। सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। मूषिकवाहन मोदकहस्त चामरकर्ण विलम्बित सूत्र वामन रूप महेश्वर पुत्र विघ्न विनायक पाद नमस्ते। नमः शिवाभ्यां नवयौवनाभ्यां परस्पराश्लिष्टवपुर्धराभ्यां नागेन्द्रकन्या वृषकेतनाभ्यां नमो नमः शंकर पार्वतीभ्याम्। कलाभ्यां चूडालंकृत शशिकलाभ्यां निजतपः फलाभ्यां भक्तेषु प्रकटितफलाभ्यां भवतु मे शिवाभ्याम् अस्तोकत्रिभुवन शिवाभ्यां हृदि पुनर्भवाभ्याम् आनन्दस्फुरत् अनुभवाभ्यां नतिरियं माता च पार्वती देवी पिता देवो महेश्वरः बान्धवा शिवभक्ताश्च स्वदेशो भुवनत्रयम्। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयम् नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां भिषजे भवरोगिणां नितये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। बुद्धिर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगता अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत् स्मरणात् भवेत्। हर नमः पार्वती पतये। हर हर महादेवा। आदि पराशक्ति माता की जय। सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। Lord Shiva, who is the repository of knowledge, who is the embodiment of knowledge, has blessed us all today with this satsangam to enjoy the glories and the greatness of his Nama and his Charita through the shlokas of Shivananda Lahari, composed by Shri Adi Shankaracharya. In our previous week's satsangam, we all enjoyed the meaning of the third shloka. We enjoyed few words described by Adi Shankaracharya in the third shloka. And the third shloka is ग्रहीवेद्यं हृद्यं त्रिपुरहरमाद्यं त्रिनयनतापहारं त्रिनयनम् जटाभारोदारं चलदुरगहारं मृगधरम् महादेवं देवं मयि सदय भावं पशुपतिं चिदालम्बं साम्बं शिवम् अतिविडम्बं हृदि भजे. He quotes about 15 words. He describes Lord Shiva through 15 words. He says, Shivam Hridi Bhaje. Let my mind constantly think upon Lord Shiva, who has got these qualities, who has got these charitas with him. He sings, Trayi Vedyam Hridyam Tripuraharamadhyam Trinayanam Jata Bharodaram Chaladuragaharam Mrigadharam Mahadevam Devam Mayi Sadaya Bhavam Pashupatim Chitalambam Sambam Shivamati Vidambam Hridi Bhaje. Trayi Vedyam. Lord Shiva, who is supposed to be meditated upon always, is known through the Vedas. He is the source and essence of all Vedas. Hridyam. He is the most adorable, most beautiful, and he captivates everyone through his beauty and charm. Tripuraharam. He has destroyed 3 cities, or he has destroyed Tripurasura. Adyam. He is the foremost of creation. He is the creator. Trinayanam. He who has got 3 eyes. Jata Bharodaram. He has got matted hair locks all over his body. Chaladuragaharam. He has the moving serpents as his ornaments. Mrigadharam. He holds the mriga, which is the deer, as his ornament. He holds it in his hand. Mahadevam. He is the Lord of all Devas. He is the supreme Godhead. He is the supreme Deva. Devam, who is self-luminous, who is always in self-consciousness mode. Mayi Sadaya Bhavam. He shows compassion towards me. He pours all his compassion over me. Pashupatim. He shows his compassion because he is Pashupati. He is the Lord of all Pashus. We are all Pashus. Chitalambam. He is the substratum of self-consciousness. He is the substratum of self-dhyanam. And he is the supporting pillar for anyone to acquire pure knowledge. He gives Swarupa Jnanam to everyone. Shivam Atividambam. Atividambam. He is beyond any decoration. He cannot be imitated. He does not need any external thing to decorate him because he is already beautiful. Hridi Bhaje. Let my mind dwell upon that Shiva who has got these following qualities. Says Adi Shankaracharya. And in our previous week's satsangam, we had enjoyed understanding the meaning, the basic meaning of the words Traivedyam, Hridyam, Adyam, and Atividambam. 4 out of 15 adjectives used by Adi Shankaracharya. And in today's satsanga, we will continue with the third shloka and we will try to understand the meaning of the other adjective as much as possible, because we cannot understand 100%. We do not have that maturity. Only through his blessing we can understand at least a portion of what was conveyed by Adi Shankaracharya. So let us pray to him to give us that maturity to understand at least few points from what Adi Shankaracharya has tried to convey to us. He says, Shivam Tripuraharam. Shiva is Tripurahara, one who destroyed 3 cities, or one who destroyed Tripurasura. That is why he is called Tripurantaka. One who destroyed the 3 cities, or Tripurasura. We all know this famous story. Tripurasura was slayed or destroyed or defeated by Lord Muruga in a war. This Tripurasura had 3 sons, Tarakakshan, Kamalakshan and Vidyunmali. Tarakasur was defeated by Lord Muruga. I should stand corrected. Tarakasura was defeated by Lord Muruga, and this Tarakasura had 3 sons, Tarakakshan, Kamalakshan and Vidyunmali. All the 3 of them wanted to be the most powerful. They wanted to rule the entire world. So they started doing a severe penance towards Lord Brahma to please him and to get boons easily. They did severe austerities for many thousand years, and finally Brahmaji came in front of them and he asked, what do you want? They said, we want immortality. Brahma said, immortality cannot be given, for anything that is born must be destroyed someday or the other. So definitely immortality cannot be granted. What else do you want? So they said, we need an arrangement wherein each one of us will rule one loka, Bhur, Bhuva, Swarga Loka. We should rule one of these loka, all the 3 of us. And Mayan must build a city for us, made up of iron, silver and gold respectively. That is why Tripura, 3 cities. They made Mayan build 3 cities for them. One made in iron, one made up of silver and the other made up of gold. And all the 3 of them must be in the form of mountains. Why should they be as a mountain? We all know that mountains are immobile. They won't move. So why are they asking for mountain? Previously, even in Ramayana Kalam, from Sundarakandam, we come to know that mountains had the ability to fly back then. In Sundarakandam, when Anjaneya starts from Mahendra Parvatam, when he crosses the ocean, Mainaka Parvatam comes up. It comes from the ocean and it says, "Oh Anjaneya, oh Hanuman, I have the ability to fly. I have wings with me." All mountains had wings, but somehow Devendra started cutting all the wings. Your father, Vayu, protected me and he hid me in this water. He hid me in this ocean. So I am protected now. I am saved now because of your father. And so please give me an opportunity to repay my debt to you by giving you food and shelter. Take some rest and then go forward, Mainaka Parvatam said. For which Anjaneya refused. He outrightly refused by saying that his mission was of utmost importance. But the point here is, mountains had the ability to fly. So, all the 3 asuras here, Tarakakshan, Kamalakshan and Vidyunmali, wanted to be a mountain. They wanted wings. They wanted to fly. They wanted to revolve around this world constantly. And all the three of them asked this bone that they should not be defeated individually. They can be defeated or destroyed only when all the three of them come together at a single point. When all the three of them are revolving. Once in probably 1,000 years, they will all come at a certain point, and again they'll start revolving. So at that point, at that moment, they can be destroyed. They thought it was a very clever plan. They thought by this nobody can defeat them. It generally happens to asuras. Even Hiranyakashipu thought he got a very great boon through which he has attained immortality. But he failed to understand that Bhagavan Vishnu was more clever than this asura. The same way, Lord Shiva, Bhagavan Shiva is more clever than these asuras. So he knew how this bone can be broken. These asuras started ruling the world and they were constantly torturing everyone. Nobody could live in peace. So they all went and sought refuge to Brahma. Brahma said, I cannot do anything. Let us go to Lord Shiva. So they all went together to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva said, okay, let me handle him. But we need a special arrangement through which we can attack him. What was that arrangement? Samba Dashakam, written by Adi Shankaracharya, explains this arrangement. Adi Shankaracharya says, Kshoniyasya yato rathanga yuganam chandrarka bimbadvayam kodandah kanakachalo harirabhut bano vidhisarathi tu nirojala धीर्हयाः श्रुतिचयोः मौर्वीर् भुजङ्गाधिपः तस्मिन् मे हृदयं सुखेन रमतां साम्बं param brahmani. Adi Shankaracharya says, let my mind constantly be involved in the dhyanam of Samba. Sambam means along with Amba, that is Ardhanarishwara, who is the Parabrahma, and let my mind constantly get happiness by thinking about Lord Shiva, who was the slayer of all the three asuras with this arrangement. Which arrangement? Bhumi was made as the chariot. All the four Vedas were made as horses. Surya and Chandra was made as the wheel of the chariot. Lord Shiva was the main shooter. He wanted bow and arrows. The bow was Meru Parvata. The string was Adisesha. Arrow was Lord Vishnu. And Agni stayed in the tip of that arrow. And for quiver, Samudra Raja came, Varuna came. So with this arrangement, Lord Shiva got prepared for Tripurasura Badham. They started moving forward. They started marching forward. And when all the three of them came at one point, Lord Shiva shot the arrow and they were all destroyed. This is one story. There is another version of the story which says all devas got extremely arrogant. They all started thinking that only because of them, only because of their support, Lord Shiva is able to fight these asuras. They thought if they had not helped, Lord Shiva couldn't have done this, and Lord Shiva couldn't have accepted this job at all. So, Lord Shiva thought for a moment. He made all these arrangements. He went there to fight with these asuras. But at the time of shooting the arrow, he got down from the chariot and he smiled. And he smiled at that point when all the three of them came together, destroyed them. So he proved that he does not require the help of anyone, but others require his help. If Bhagavan is using us for a mission, it doesn't mean that he cannot do it alone. It means that he wants to show everyone in this world that this person can also do it. He's only using us as a tool. He can do it alone. He can do it on his own. He does not require our support or our help. But still, he does it through us only to prove our bhakti and to prove our faith. But if we get arrogance, if we start thinking that it is only because of us Lord Shiva is doing this, then everything will be gone. The satsangam in which we are all in is a combined effort. And this is happening only because of Lord Shiva. If we are able to tell good things to others, if we act as a medium of passing good things to this world, it is because he wants us to do it. It is not because we have got the talent or because we are the most knowledgeable person to tell it to the world. Definitely no. He wants to use us, and in the process, he wants us to get much more mature. But without knowing that, arrogant and ignorant people like Devas thought it was because of them that Lord Shiva got the power to fight against Tripurasura. So Lord Shiva got down from the chariot, he smiled, and his smile destroyed all the asuras. So from this, what do we come to know? What is the moral of this? Arrogance will destroy everything. Arrogance will only take us away from Lord Shiva. It will never bring us closer to Lord Shiva. This is the lesson that we learn from Tripurasura Vadham. And this is why he is called Tripura Haram. He destroyed Tripurasura's Tripura Haram. And that is why he is also called Tripurantaka. So this is the story behind Tripurasura Vadham. Lord Shiva is also called Chalad Uragaharam and Mrigadharam. Chalad Uragaharam. Chalad, one that is moving. Uragam, snake or serpent. Urasa gacchati iti uragam. Urasa, it moves through his chest. It moves because of its chest. So urasa gacchati iti uragam. Moving snake is taken by Lord Shiva and is adorned as a haram, as a mala. Mrigadharam, he holds deer in his hand. There is an incident connected to Chaladuragaharam and Mrigadharam. Lord Shiva does not do anything without any reason. If we look at his form itself, it has got thousands of reasons behind it and a deeper hidden knowledge behind it. The same way, Chaladuragaharam and Mrigadharam have numerous reasons behind it. But in general, there is a story hidden behind it. There is a story or incident connected with these words. Chalat Uragaharam, Mrigadharam. There was a vanam, forest called Taruka Vanam, which was filled with parai trees, which was called Daruka in Sanskritam. So Daruka Vanam. In this Daruka Vanam, there were many sages who were extremely arrogant. They all thought that with the knowledge that they have and with the tapobalam that they have, they can beat everyone. They thought that they were the gods. They thought that by the yoga dhyanam that they have, by the Ashtanga yoga power which they possess, they can defeat anyone in this world. So, to bring them back to normalcy and to prove that Lord Shiva is the ultimate supreme godhead, he had to do a small leela. He requested Lord Vishnu to take the form of Mohini, and he himself went as Bhikshandavar. When Mohini went there, all the sages there got diverted. They got distracted. They were all attracted towards Mohini and they all lost their concentration. They couldn't concentrate anymore on their yoga. They couldn't concentrate on their dhyana. So ultimately they were all distracted and they all lost track. Bhikshandavar Murti, Lord Shiva, went to the house of these sages and asked for alms. When the wives of these sages came out to give alms, they were all attracted towards the beauty of Shiva. He is the most adorable, most beautiful, Hridyam Atividambam. Who will not get attracted by the beauty of Lord Shiva? So they were all attracted and they started coming behind Lord Shiva. They forgot about their husband. They were totally concentrated only on Lord Shiva, the Bhikshandavar Murti. Once this Leela was over, ultimately, Lord Shiva proved that Yoga Bhrashto Bhijayate. If you think you are the one who is controlling everything, then definitely you will get distracted. If you think that the yoga that you have, the knowledge that you have can save you ultimately and can make you more powerful, then there are chances for you to slip down. These sages were extremely arrogant. They thought that their Ashtanga Yogam, the knowledge that they possess, can protect them and can make them the most powerful. But it can also make them slip down because they were all theoretically strong, but not practically strong. One who is practically strong will understand that Lord Shiva is the supreme being. They will understand that Lord Shiva is the Parabrahma Swarupam. They will understand that Lord Shiva is the Paramatma. One who doesn't understand this will only keep talking the substratum or the things which are mentioned in Vedas without understanding it in depth and will only keep arguing about it without any use. So, he proved that arrogance can make you slip from the path of bhakti and dhyana. Enraged by this, all the sages wanted to take revenge. So they all performed a yajna and they did black magic, vavacharam, and they aimed snakes, deers, and many other things towards Lord Shiva. He caught hold of all these, defeated these, and had it with him. That is how he got Chaladuragaharam, moving snake which was aimed at him, was defeated by him, and it was adorned as a garland. The deer which came to attack Lord Shiva was defeated, and he held it in his hands constantly and became Mrigadharam. Ultimately, if something is thrown at Lord Shiva with bad intention, he will prove that that can be controlled by Lord Shiva, and he had it in his hand constantly and he had it always. And after this incident, the sages realized that their job was to be humble and to pray for the well-being of the world. Their job was not to be pompous and their job was not to get arrogant by their knowledge. So they all surrendered to Lord Shiva and asked for forgiveness. There is a famous song which explains the entire incident. It says, Karukavana Thurai Tavasigal Mayangida Damodaranum Mohiniyanan Darukavana Thurai Tavasigal Mayangida Damodaranum Mohiniyanan Aruyir Maniviyat Manamadu Kalangida Parameshwaran Bhikshatananan Aruyat Maniviyat Manamadu Kalangida Parameshwaran Bhikshandavaranan Parpavarigaran Panbellam Puraya Karigadavarum Aran Padam Panadana Utridai Marenga Parashivanum Katravan Seitavam Palitidave Utranai Pidainde Paranchudarai Katradu Munivar Karul Cheitai குற்றமும் குறைகளும் நீங்கிடவும் பந்தமும் பாசமும் அறுபடவும் சிற்றமும் புலியனே நாகராஜ ஜோதிர்லிங்கமான ஈசனை செஞ்சடையனை மாவிடையனை சங்கரனே பஜி மனமே செஞ்சடையனை மாவிடையனை சங்கரனே பஜி மனமே செஞ்சடையனை மாவிடையனை சங்கரனே பஜி மனமே செஞ்சடையனை மாவிடையனை. So there are many incidents where Lord Shiva has created a Leela to prove this world that arrogance cannot be the solution. I, mine, bhavam will only pull us down in our path towards Lord Shiva. One such incident is where Lord Shiva holds Ganga on his head, Gangadhara, and that is why he is called Jatabharodharam. Jatabharodharam, one who has got matted hair locks all over his body. And what does he hold in this Jatabharam, in this matted hair lock? He holds Ganga. Why is he holding Ganga? How did Ganga originate? There is a big story behind this. Ganga was originated from the Kamandala Tirtha of Brahma. When Lord Vishnu took Trivikrama Avataram, his toe, thumb, nail reached Satyalokam. And this fraction, when reached Satyalokam, Lord Brahma performed Pada Puja by pouring his Kamandala Tirtham. This Pada Tirtham, Hari Pada Tirtham, was Ganga. The Tirtham which we got out of Hari Pada Puja is called Hari Pada Tirtham, and that is Ganga. There was a king in the Surya Vamsha, Surya dynasty. He was the ancestor of Lord Rama. He wanted to get salvation for his ancestors who were burnt into ashes. So he requested Brahmaji to give Ganga. Brahma accepted, but he said that the force of Ganga cannot be borne by earth. So Brahma directed Bhagirath to pray towards Rudra. So he started praying towards Lord Rudra, and he did a big penance towards him. Rudra, Lord Shiva, also accepted to hold Ganga on his head. Ganga started flowing down. She was extremely arrogant. She thought that when she flows down, this earth will not be able to bear her force and it will ultimately be destroyed, and she can show how powerful she is. And she started flowing down with huge force. But Lord Shiva immediately caught her in his head, locked her up through his Jatabharam, and let down a small stream in the Bhuloka. And this big Ganges river that we see, huge Ganges river we see, is only a small portion of the original Ganga, Ganges. So Lord Shiva held Ganga to satisfy Bhagiratha, who had asked for help. Since he is Ashutoshi, he helped Bhagiratha. He blessed Bhagiratha with Ganga. But this is not the only reason. There is another reason too. We know that any water body, when it falls from a higher plane, it generates electricity. Ganga is huge in volume. and it has to flow from Satyalokam. From that height, if it is poured down, then it will generate enormous electricity, enormous power to destroy this entire world. That is the reason why Lord Shiva came forward to hold Ganga in his Jatamudi. He wanted the world to be happy. He wanted the entire society to be protected. He wanted everybody to be safe and sound. And that is why he became Gangadharan, the one who holds Ganga in his matlocks. So when we sing Gangadhara, it does not signify his tendency of being Ashutoshi alone. It also signifies his sadhu bhavam, his compassion, his karuna towards his entire society. And the pitra bhavam, matra bhavam that he has, the parental feeling that he has towards his entire body, and the bhavam which he has to protect this entire world. So Gangadhara has two meanings. One, he is Ashutoshi, and the second, he has got enormous karuna and compassion towards all his bhaktas and towards the world in general. So when we sing Gangadhara, 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 we must think about his compassion, his karuna, his mercy. We must all feel lucky and blessed to be listening to this story, because only because of his blessings we are listening to this story. And that is itself a great compassion poured upon all of us. So we must always thank him for giving us satsangam and to sing his namas constantly. Gangadhara, Gangadhara, Shambho Shankara, Gangadhara, 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 Shambho Shankara, Gangadhara, 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 Shiva Shambho Shankara, Gangadhara, 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 Shiva Shambho Shankara, Gangadhara. This is a very easy bhajan which every one of us can sing along. And let us all think about the compassion. Let us all feel blessed for being given us an opportunity to sing his namas constantly. Gangadhara, Gangadhara, Shambho Shankara, Gangadhara, 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 Shambho Shankara, Gangadhara, 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 Shiva Shambho Shankara, Gangadhara, 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 Shiva Shambho Shankara, Gangadhara, Kailasavasa, Gangadhara, Kalakasavesha, Gangadhara, Kailasavasa, Gangadhara, Kalakasavesha, Gangadhara, Nandivana, Shiva Gangadhara, Kamagana Priya Gangadhara, Nandivana, Shiva Gangadhara, Kamagana Priya Gangadhara, 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 Shambho Shankara, Gangadhara, 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 Shiva Shambho Shankara, Gangadhara, Mrityunjaya Gangadhara, Lingotava Gangadhara, Mrityunjaya Gangadhara, Lingotava Gangadhara, Sarveshwara Gangadhara, Parvati Ramana Gangadhara, Sarveshwara Gangadhara, Shiva Parvati Ramana Gangadhara, Sarveshwara Gangadhara, Jaya Parvati Ramana Gangadhara, 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 Shambho Shankara, Gangadhara. Shambho Shankara Gangadhara 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 Shiva Shambho Shankara 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 Gangadhara. Hara Namah Parvati Pataye Hara Hara Mahadeva. So, he is the Gangadhara. He is the embodiment of Karuna, embodiment of compassion. Not only that, he is the embodiment of knowledge. He is the repository of knowledge. He is called Devam. Devam means one who is self-luminous, one who has got his own light. Divu Prakashanam, Aparichanna Prakasha Swarupam. He is self-luminous. Suryan, Lord Sun, is self-luminous. He gives light to this entire world. And in all stotras that are in praise of Lord Surya, we find that he is the giver of knowledge. Light is knowledge. Darkness is ignorance. So, Lord Shiva is self-luminous, which shows us that he is the Parabrahma Swarupam. Upanishad says, Chinmayasya, Advitiyasya, Nishkalasya Asharirinaha, Upasakanam Karyartham, Brahmano, Rupa Kalmanam. It says, Parabrahma Swarupam is Nirguna Swarupam. It says, Chinmayasya. It is the Jnana Swarupam. It is the embodiment of knowledge. It gives knowledge to everyone. Advitiyasya. It cannot be compared to another thing. And there is no second Brahman. There is only one Brahman. Advitiyasya. Nishkalasya, which is extremely pure, without any impurities. Asharirinaha. It is without any form. Without any form means it is spread everywhere. It is there in all the beings. It is there in Jadam and Chaitanyam. It is there in living and non-living beings. It is there everywhere. It is the cause of everything. So, this is the Parabrahma Swarupam. And these are the qualities of Parabrahma Swarupam. Laymen like us, ordinary people like us, cannot understand this. Because if we are asked to meditate upon Chinmayasya, Advitiyasya, Ishkalasya, Asharirinaha, it is the embodiment of knowledge. It is very pure. It does not have any form. It does not have a second one. It is incomparable. If this is given as a description for Brahman, what can we meditate upon? We will not have anything to meditate upon. And it might become very difficult to bring our mind under our control. This is the reason why Upasakanam Karyartham Brahmano Rupa Kalmanam. For the purpose of meditation, for common man like us to meditate upon, the Parabrahma Swarupam takes a form, takes a guna, takes a nama, and it comes in the form of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, Shiva Nama, Shiva Swarupa, and Shiva Tattva, Shiva Guna are exhibited to us so that we can dwell upon that. We can start concentrating upon Lord Shiva instead of searching for something which we don't know. Asharirinaha. If it is not there, if it does not have any form, what will you meditate upon? Instead, if you meditate upon Lord Shiva, who has got Jatabharam, who has got matted hair locks, Chaladuragaharam, who has got moving serpents as his ornaments, Brigadharam, who has got the deer in his hand, who has got Trinayanam, who has got 3 eyes. So if these descriptions are taken into account, and if we start thinking about Lord Shiva in this way, then it becomes easy for us to concentrate. It becomes very, very comfortable for us to concentrate and to meditate upon. So, for people like us, Parabrahma taken the form of Lord Shiva and it has come to us. So, Lord Shiva is the ultimate Parabrahman, Paramatma Tattva. He is Aparichinna Prakasha Swarupaha. He is self-luminous and he is unlimited consciousness. He is the consciousness. He is the source of knowledge. He is the repository of knowledge. And through his compassion, he gives us knowledge. Not only that, he acts as the supporting pillar for us to attain knowledge. Chidalambam. Through this word, Adi Shankaracharya says that he is the supporting pillar for us to get knowledge. How is this possible? Lord Shiva, being the embodiment of knowledge, through his Dakshinamurti form, shows us that one must start thinking about himself. One must start going deeper inside. One must start realizing self-consciousness. When all lights are switched off, when all lights are put out, we are not able to see anything around us. But we can feel that we are still there. We know for a fact that we are still there in the darkness. Why is that happening? That is because there is an inner light, which is the Atma, which is the Jivatma, which is the self-consciousness in us. And this self-consciousness, this Atma that we have, is nothing but the reflection of Paramatma. And if we start meditating upon our own self, when we start meditating upon our own Atma, when we start going deeper into our own self, we'll get self-actualization. And we'll start realizing that Atma and Paramatma are one and the same. And this Atma is a reflection of Paramatma. And this Atma must attain Paramatma at any cost. And this is what he shows through his Dakshinamurti form. He keeps meditating. He keeps Chinmudra and he keeps meditating to show us that meditation can bring us closer to Lord Shiva. And one must start going deep into himself. Chidalambam means substratum for consciousness. He is Swarupa Jnanasya Alambam Sadhanam. He is the supporting pillar for every one of us to attain that inner knowledge, for our inner eye to be opened, for us to analyze and realize what we are. We need his support, because only if he blesses us, we can get that knowledge and we can start moving ahead in the path of bhakti and jnana. So he is the supporting pillar who acts as an example, and he also blesses us with an opportunity to climb up the ladder of bhakti and jnana. So he is Devam and he is Chidalambam. So till now, we have enjoyed the meaning of Tripuraharam, Jatabharodaram, Chaladuragaharam, Mrigadharam, Devam, and Chidalambam. There are many reasons hidden behind Lord Shiva's form. We saw this in our previous week's satsangam also. When Parvati was asked why she liked Lord Shiva, who is not civilized at all, she said, Akinchanassan prabhavasya sampadam trilokanatha pitrisatma gocharaha sa bhima rupa Shiva ityudiryate na santi yatarthya vidah pinakinaha. She said, one who understands the form of Lord Shiva will not talk unnecessarily. And one who talks ill about Lord Shiva has not understood the form. This means that Lord Shiva is the embodiment of knowledge and he exhibits it through his form. His form has got hidden knowledge. There are n number of reasons behind his form. Trinayanam. He has got 3 eyes. In plain terms, it just means that he has got 3 eyes. He has got one more eye in his forehead. And we also know that he has used his forehead, this netram on his forehead, to burn Manmatha. Because Manmatha tried shooting an arrow at Lord Shiva. But why is he having 3 eyes? What does these 3 eyes signify? it is said that Chandragni Vaishwanara Lochanaya, his 3 eyes represent moon, sun, and Agni, fire. Moon represents compassion and happiness. Sun represents knowledge. Agni represents justice or destruction. So, when we as bhaktas approach Lord Shiva, he glances us through his Chandranetram. When we go to him asking for knowledge, when we go to him seeking his blessings to climb up the ladder of Jnanam and Bhakti, he glances us through his Surya Netram. And when justice is to be established, when dharma is to be established, he uses his third eye, Agni Netram. This is the significance behind Trinayanam. This is the reason behind Trinayanam. Not only that, Chaladuragaharam Mrigadharam. We saw the incident connected with these words. Chaladuragaharam, all the sages in Darukavanam did Vamacharam, black magic, and they threw the snakes and deer at Lord Shiva, which was defeated by Lord Shiva, and he had it with them. But this also has a deeper inner meaning. Chaladuragaharam, Uragam, which constantly keeps moving. Chalad, it's constantly on the move. This represents our indriyas, our organs. We have all come here together in the satsangam. We have all come here to listen to the glories and greatness of Lord Shiva. But at least for a moment, we would think of something else. We would hear something else. We would speak something else. We would do some other job. So all these are part and parcel. We cannot devote all our organs towards Lord Shiva always. It is extremely difficult for us to do it. So it is said, if you offer all your organs, all your indriyas to Lord Shiva as a mala, he will take care of it. This might be extremely powerful, like how the snakes were powerful, the black magic snakes were powerful, but it was ultimately defeated by Lord Shiva. So in the same way, even if we think that our organs are very powerful, if we submit it to Lord Shiva, if we offer it as a garland to Lord Shiva, as a haram to Lord Shiva, he will take care of the rest. Why should we break our head in bringing it into Bhagavan's control, into our control? Let us give it to him. Let him take care of the rest. So, give all your indriyas to Lord Shiva as a haram. Offer it to him with bhakti. He will take care of the rest. Mrigadharam. Mrigam means deer. Deer is always agitated. It keeps running here and there, and it is always worried about something or the other. It is always afraid of being caught. So in the same way, our manas, our hridayam, our mind is always constantly on the run, and it is always agitated. It never experiences peace. So in that situation, what is to be done? For our hridaya, for our manas to be in Lord Shiva's custody, let us offer it to him. It is like a deer. Oh Lord Shiva, you have a deer in your hand. Why don't you hold my heart also as your deer? Why don't you have it in your possession? Why don't you bring it under your control? So if we give it to him, if we offer it to him, he will take care of the rest. Now the question is, how do we offer it? In Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Indriyani parani ahuhu, indriyebhyah param manah, manasastu para buddhihi, yo buddhev paratastu saha. When indriyas are brought under our control, our mind automatically comes under our control. When our mind comes under our control, then buddhi, our intellect, comes under our control. And because of this, we will get jnanam and we will get mukti. So if indriyas are offered to Lord Shiva, if we offer it to him as a garland, then he will take care of the rest. He will ensure that it is tamed and controlled. And when all our indriyas are brought under his control, then he will ultimately captivate our heart, and he will bring that also under his control. And when all these are under his control, are under the control of bhakti, then ultimately our buddhi, our intelligence will also come under his control. He will give us the jnanam because he is the repository of knowledge. He is the source of knowledge. So he will give his jnanam to us. He will give us the purest form of knowledge, and he will give us mukti. So all that we have to do is to surrender at the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. All the actions that we do must be Shivarpani. Every single organ in our body must be dedicated and devoted to Lord Shiva. Whatever we see must be Shiva Swarupam. Whatever we hear must be Shiva Namam and Shiva Katha. Whatever we speak must be Shiva Katha and Shiva Namam. Whatever we do must be Shiva Kankaryam. And when that is there, then ultimately all our indriyas come under our control or under Shiva's control, and ultimately we can attain mukti, and we will be given the purest form of knowledge. So, through these words, through these adjectives, Adi Shankaracharya says that Lord Shiva is the repository of knowledge. Try understanding the reason behind all these forms. Try understanding the reason behind everything that Shiva does. And ultimately, you will get the pure knowledge that you seek for. All the leelas, all the kathas prove that arrogance, that I am the most superior one, or everything happens because of me, should be destroyed. If that is there, then we cannot move up, or we cannot climb up the path. We cannot climb the ladder of bhakti or jnana. So we need to be submissive. We should always surrender ourselves at the lotus feet of Lord Shiva and ask for his grace to be showered upon all of us always. And when that is showered, we will get purest form of knowledge, and ultimately we'll get bhakti and mukti. So let us constantly pray to Lord Shiva to give us satsangams like this, and to constantly think about him, and to constantly talk and sing in praise of him. Hara Namah Parvati Pataye, Hara Hara Mahadeva, Adi Parashakti Mata Ki Jai, Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai, समस्त भक्त मंडली की जय. तिरुचित्रंबलम.